I didn't know what to expect last night at Money in the Bank, and I'm glad I made this pick for this person to win the men's version of Money in the Bank, and really doesn't need an introduction. The winner of the 2021 men's Money in the Bank ladder match, the one and only Big E. And Big E, I have to ask this right away. Where's the briefcase, my friend? Where is it at right now on Monday at 2:22 Central Standard Time?
The briefcase is actually, I just got in my house like half an hour ago. It's sitting on my floor next to, I just brought out my bags, I dumped them in. So it's just sitting on my floor, kind of next to my TV. I gotta figure out where to put it, but that's where it is now.
So fans are going to be disappointed. You're now not going to be on. You just ruined Big E. You're not going to be on Raw tonight.
I mean, who's to say? Like, I could catch a jet now. It's not that difficult. I am currently at home, but it's not. It's a 2-hour flight. You never know.
Vince has that jet. You can just you can call up Uncle Vince and be like, Vinny, get that jet here like in about 20 minutes. I got to get to Dallas tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well. But no, yeah, it's Cena's there. It's the John Cena show tonight. So I am intrigued though to see, especially this is the first Raw back with a live crowd. And I didn't know what to expect with the Cena that Cena pop. Can I be a bit of a mark right here for a second?
I was gonna mark for you. I was gonna talk about John later, but we'll talk about John now.
That Cena pop was one of the loudest I can remember long. And I wasn't even in. I wish I had like. There are moments where, all right, something's going to come, so you kind of stick your head out and you can kind of see the fans. I wish I had known, but I was back doing interviews and whatnot afterwards. But I watched it back, and it felt like it was the loudest pop. The loudest pop I said for a while was when Dolph won Money in the Bank, but I was at ringside, and so I don't know, positioning and whatnot. This one might be the loudest pop I've ever heard since I've been here. They were very excited for John.
I jumped out of my seat, out of my couch last night twice. I don't jump out of my couch. I've been covering this a long time. I've seen it all in MMA, boxing, and pro wrestling. Two things I marked out at last night, and I'll admit it as a fan. You winning Money in the Bank just because of the reaction of the crowd. It's not because we're talking, and I was texting with a mutual friend of ours. I was going back and forth with him a little bit, and we both did the same thing. And then when John came back, and how do you rate last night, though? In terms, I know you and John are good buddies, but just in terms of you, how was last night the biggest night of your career so far?
I tell like my close friends when I hate making lists or ranking things because it's always because I'll make a declaration now and I'll change my mind in 2 minutes. But you know what? When I was thinking about it, I definitely said top 5, but even that felt like pretty conservative. We've done so many incredible things as a trio, obviously, as you know, with the New Day and whatnot. But man, that might be one. It's close. If it's not number one, it's in contention for number one. And it's not like I tell people too, like the moment being Mr. Money in the Bank is incredible. But if we did that with no crowd, it's very cool, but it doesn't feel nearly the same. It's not the same. It's really what I'll remember 20, 30 years from now is just the moment of hitting the big ending off the ladder. Even like for me, it starts to really, it's as soon that crazy powerbomb onto the ladder from Seth to KO. And then it feels like Seth's about to win. But I felt like as soon as I started to get up on my feet and slide in, from then until the end of the segment, till they got me out of there, it's a kind of drug, a kind of high that is unmatched, man. I hope everyone gets to experience that. I don't know, not necessarily in pro wrestling if you're not a pro wrestler, but whatever it is in your field, whatever it is that gives you that kind of feeling, it's incredible, man. And that's why we do it. And I know we were doing the best we could in the Thunderdome era, and I think I just forgot. I think I forgot how incredible it is to be in front of fans because it's night and day. It almost felt like we were doing something different. Like we were like, this is now pro wrestling, and what we were doing before was something a cousin to pro wrestling, Because it sounds corny, it sounds cliche, but I think pro wrestling needs fans more than any other industry live. I love MMA, and for me, I really enjoyed the crowdless UFC cards. because like I loved hearing the corners, I loved hearing the strikes, I loved hearing even just guys in the grappling positions where they're breathing heavily, you know. And same, like I've enjoyed boxing too without crowds, and you can argue I think with the big fights I have enjoyed them more. But for me, in our industry, it's night and day for me,
Oh yeah.
with and without a crowd, night and day.
No, you're not wrong on that at all. Because I was at the McGregor fight a couple weeks ago, 10 days ago now, and that was just next level. Just hearing the fans, I was like, whoa! You can tell we all really missed it. But then it was just something different with watching SmackDown and then watching the show last night. It's just wrestling is just, regardless of who you like, without fans, wrestling's just not the same. And it's good to have the fans back. And you got a couple cool things I've been seeing. And the first thing I want to do is the email I saw today and I got from WWE was, you did a cool little video with TikTok, and WWE is doing this thing where people can go on TikTok to be a ring announcer. They're doing a contest, and the winners will be flown out to SummerSlam, which is on August 21st from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. I wish you have a ring announcer's voice, Mr. Big E, and I just say the contest should be over and it should just be you.
You know what? I didn't even consider that. I did something to promote it, but I never thought of actually entering myself. Sure. And I could use the extra money. Who's to say I couldn't wrestle? And and I'm paid well. I'm taken care of. But we can always, maybe spend it on a vacation or something. I don't know. But I think you're onto something. But no, the cool thing is I'm not cool. I'm in my mid-30s now, so TikTok for me is very foreign. But I am told it's very in vogue. And the beautiful thing is we're using newer technology, newer platforms to bring people in. And I'm excited to see, kind of the feedback we get, to see how many people reach out. And that's the beautiful thing with like ring announcers is I've seen people who were like former gymnasts or who sang, or, people come from all walks of life to do something like this. So I'm excited to see how that shakes out and to see everyone at SummerSlam for that.
You're 35. I just turned 40. So if you're old, what am I?
Look, I wasn't projecting onto you. I'm just saying for me, it's yeah.
Get out of
You're a very young 40. You look 25 to me.
I know I look 25.
You do.
But you don't look 35 in the slightest bit.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like I've aged well, except for the hairline. The hairline, as I look in the mirror and I see the forehead start to stick out. You know what happens though, and I've embraced it. It's like 8 Mile. If I take away all the barbs that you're about to use against me before you can, then like what are you gonna say? So I hit the hairline stuff off top. So I beat you to the punch. That's my plan at least.
I always suggest two things. Is I'm the same way. Doing what I am doing right now and wearing a hat. Or you could get that, like they have that stuff now where like the hair goes back.
See, I guess it works well, I'm sure, but that feels like too big of a step for me. I think if I end up with the horseshoe pattern, I think I'm just gonna rock it. Kofi and Woods said they're very much gonna go bald if that happens, but I think I'm gonna let it go back. I'm gonna let it do what it does. I'm
gonna have to talk to Kofi because I just talked to Kofi a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that because I didn't see that receding hairline in Kofi Kingston.
No, Kofi's still good. He's still good. But we spend far too much time talking about hairlines. Actually, I feel like we have a weekly conversation between the three of us about our hairlines. So it's a big point of emphasis for some reason for us.
Me and you have a mutual friend, and I remember when he was telling me initially about the idea about Our Heroes Rock, and he's like, "Well, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "We need something like that in this world." And I was glad to see this initiative come through with ourheroesrock.org. And, you guys over-exceeded in terms of getting the money raised through the fundraising accounts and everything. And what is the status right now of the initiative? Because I know the Kickstarter had ended. So how is that process going right now?
It's going really well. So right now we're just in the production stage, and Andreas, obviously Andreas Hale is our mutual friend, and we talk daily. So right now we have a song that we can't put out, but we love it. Rhapsody sent her stuff in. Eric produced a beat that we love. So we're just we're at the end of, actually, I think we're pretty much done with our fine tuning of the song. Jonathan Davenport is our third partner, another friend of mine. And that's the beautiful thing for me is getting to work with my friends who aren't just like, these are my friends and they're kind of, schlubs, but they're incredibly talented. And so yeah, Johnny wrote a script that we also love. So essentially, we're just kind of at the stage now where we're pretty close to sending our stuff off to the animators and doing some storyboarding. But it's been really cool for me to kind of challenge, even though a lot of the stuff I'm not actually doing, but we're kind of challenging ourselves in a different way. And man, I couldn't ask for better partners. Man, we have so much fun working together. And I'm often reminded of like the beginnings of the New Day with those guys because of our bond, the way we communicate, the way we work together has been really incredible. And we all feel the very same about what we want this to be, the vision we have for this, just telling stories of Black. There's so many stories of Black communities or Black people, activists, authors, artists, so many stories that we all talked about. The fact that, the three of us, we didn't learn until maybe late in high school or college, or didn't learn until later in adulthood. And our hope is that we can teach young people in a very engaging way. That's why we use hip hop too, and Rhapsody. Like, we didn't just find any old rapper. We found Rhapsody, who a 2-time Grammy nominee. If you're a hip hop head at all, and Rhapsody is incredible. She, one of the best rappers, one of the best artists on this planet. She's incredible. So anyways, we have her. We have Eric, who's an incredible producer too in his own right. So we're really excited about it. And we're hoping to make the short film, to put it out in the next few months. And hopefully, like, this doesn't die here for us. In our minds, we want a series so we can tell more of these stories.
Now, where will fans be able to, when the short film does drop? What's the goal of where to distribute it to?
That is a great question. Kind of our marker in many ways has been Matthew Cherry's Hair Love. I don't know if anyone, So yeah, and because he started with a Kickstarter, it did incredibly well, better than ours did, but we still did well as well. But he did really well on Kickstarter, and then was able to Hair Love. He's working on a series with, I believe, HBO Max called Young Love. Yes, so yeah. And he's done a bunch of other projects as well. So that's really kind of been our marker. And we'd like something similar. If we could put this film out, hopefully it does well. And because it's crowdfunded, we'd love to put it out there for free, because, we can't have people investing and then also put it behind a paywall. So initially our hope is to put it out there for free. Hopefully it picks up some real buzz and excitement. Probably, we haven't really decided yet, probably on like a Twitter or YouTube, something like that. And we've talked about some other cool ways to roll this out as well. But our hope is really to have a major streaming service who's interested in just telling more of these stories.
I have to ask this because I saw it was right at the beginning of the match last night. How's your shoulder feeling? How's that right shoulder?
The shoulder,
like when you went through the ropes, you like took off, and I was like, ooh, it didn't look good, and I kind of saw you.
Yeah, Andreas is always trying to tell me to stop doing the spirit through the ropes, but
him keep talking about it, and I did talk to him about it last night, but I'm watching. I'm like, Biggie, what are you doing? Please stop doing that.
It looks worse than it is. I've been good. Man, after a match like that, you're always a little banged up.
Yeah.
But that's a job, man. Thankfully, I have a few days to heal and rest up. But I'm good. I'm honestly good. Just just the normal bruises, and that's all.
I know Brodie Lee was kind of dear to your heart. And what would Brodie Lee have thought of your performance last night and you winning this match?
Man, I was, in a way, I feel weird about projecting what he might say, but I do know what he would say. He would be one of the first people in Gorilla, because he was just that kind of friend. He would have been there in Gorilla, and he would have hugged me, and I would have been beaming to see him, because, man, that was my guy. That was family. So I've told the story too. Like, man, he was the one who, I was at a point before the New Day where I was my confidence was not what it should be. I wasn't really doing a whole lot. I was kind of floundering, barely on TV, but I had a random main event match with Seth Rollins. And, I thought I did my thing. And he was the first person to come up and say, that's how you show the office you deserve to do more. He was the first. He came up, and I still, mind you, my memory is horrible. And this is 7 or 8 years ago, and I still remember this interaction. And it was just a throwaway main event match. It didn't go to me getting a big push or me going with Rollins. Eventually the New Day launched, and then it took some time, but that was several months before, if not a year or more. But I vividly remember, and I told him, and that's one of the things that I'm thankful for is that we weren't afraid to be open and say, I love you. Or, I told him, like, this might have meant nothing to you, but it meant so much to me at that time because I always respected his work. I always thought he was an incredible worker. And he's a guy, like, I always told him, you need to have a podcast because you are the Kevin Bacon of professional wrestling. He's worked everyone. He's had, like, he'll, and my buddy Emilio too,
Yeah.
has been to a lot, like went to old Chikara shows and whatnot, but he knows more of his lore and his history. But like working Kevin Nash on the indies and so many of the guys and other companies who are doing really well, like well before they were famous. He's worked so many different people and worked in Japan. He's been all over. So he was one of those guys who I just had a ton of respect for, and just an incredible human being, man. He just so giving, and that's one of the things I loved is, obviously I didn't love his passing; it was very hard to deal with, but just the outpouring of love for him. So many stories of, other wrestlers who said, "Man, Brodie paid for me to get new gear, and he didn't have to," or he bought my buddy Emilio podcasting equipment because he believed in him. So many times that he saw someone who he thought was talented and maybe said a kind word to them or found a way to pay for something. He's just an incredible human being, honestly, just a really incredible human being. And I'm blessed to have called him a friend, to be like family. And, for me, it's important to continue to remember him and to keep his legacy alive. And he's got a beautiful family still, Amanda and the two boys. And I get to see them, talk to Amanda all the time. So, yeah, it's just, an incredible human being. And I miss him.
Two more questions, Miggy, and thank you so much for the time today. It's greatly appreciated. And a lot of people, as soon as you won, everyone's already speculating. Who's he going to cash in on? Is he going to cash in during the main event between Roman and Edge? And a lot of people bring up Bobby Lashley, and not just because defending Kofi and Woods, and because they want to see you in that position in a main event spot, but also the significance of two African American men battling for the WWE Championship. We saw that for the first time last night. What would it mean to you to face Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship?
I think it really does have a lot of significance. And that's not even, I think that's a great point as far as, two black men competing for that title is incredible. I think it also means more to me because I think Bobby has done an incredible job elevating himself. I think seeing him with the Hurt Business, seeing him with MVP, he's a guy who you knew he had what it took, but wasn't really there. Like I think back to the stuff with him and Sammy, where you think, when you watch that program, you don't think, oh, future world champion, So he was kind of in that doldrum of sorts. So he, I think, has really this last year or so, when I watch him, he looks like the guy to me. He looks like a star. He moves like a star. He performs like a star. So I think he's incredibly talented, and it's kind of odd to think at 45 that he's really hitting his stride, But yeah, man, I think that would be an incredible match, and it was cool. We got to tease a little something just at the Rumble, and I realized that's the first time we had ever touched at all, the first time we'd done anything, and it was cool just to see people, just that little buzz of, all right, this could be something here. So, that's an option as well.
I have a place where you can cash in this briefcase that's sitting on your floor in front of you. There's a big stadium that you're going to be at August 21st. I'm going to be there as well. Allegiant Stadium in beautiful Las Vegas. And if there's a time or place to cash that in, be in front of 45,000 of your closest friends. Would you want to cash it in there? And if you do, who would you rather cash it in against? Bobby Lashley or against whoever he's going to face? Or what looks like we're going to see at SummerSlam, Roman Reigns and your good buddy, John Cena. If you have a preference, what would it be?
Man, those are all great options. I feel like, man, Roman's the guy, though. Roman's the guy in the industry. And if you want to be remembered, if you want to do something cool, something special, that's a great way to do it. Roman's on a tear. This is one of the best runs I can remember in the last 5, 10 years. I don't know. I'd have to think about the context, but this is a very memorable run. I feel like he's definitely hitting his stride in a way that he hasn't before. I think he's, you can look at outside. You can look at the entire scope of the wrestling industry, and you can determine who you think is the number one guy, or who you think is the best, or who should be at the very top. I think it's not that difficult to make an argument for Roman being number one across all brands, across all boards, and beating him means something. Whoever beats him for that title, it's going to be memorable. It's going to mean something, and why not me?
Why not you is correct. He is the men's 2021 Money in the Bank winner. Member of the New Day, Mr. Big E. I feel sorry not calling you Langston. Someone called you Langston, and I was like ready to call you Langston right there. I'm like, Big E, no, we cannot call him Langston. We have to call him Big E. Hopefully, we will see you cash in. You won't be cashing in tonight, maybe, unless Vince gets you that jet, and
I might hit that jet.
You can make that 2-hour trek to the beautiful Dallas, Texas. But all kidding aside, Big E, this is the first time we've chatted. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for the time today. It does mean a lot. Hopefully, we will see you cash in at SummerSlam in front of 40 to 45,000 of our closest friends. And then, you know what you can do after that? Take the belt, whichever belt you win, you can hop along with me and Andreas, and you could go to the T-Mobile Arena, and we can watch Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence.
Ooh, I know we're wrapping up, but I'm excited for that fight. I am excited for that fight.
Who wins?
I like Errol. But man, so I watched the Jeff Horn fight, and I thought, all right, Manny got robbed, but Manny's on the decline here. Manny's done. But man, Keith, and I know Keith Thurman was coming off surgery, but he looked good against Keith. And Manny's run to me is incredible. Just his journey across so many different weight classes at his age. He's reinvented himself. It feels like multiple times, and is in his 40s now. And it's plausible that he beats Errol Spence. It's gonna be. I don't think Errol gets him out of there in like 2 rounds. That's not gonna happen. I could see Errol winning a decisive decision, but it's also very plausible to me that Manny beats him. So yeah, I just take my hat off to Manny, and I'm really excited for that fight. And I wish it wasn't on the same night.
But you can make that time.
That's true.
The fight, true. Your match ends, or whenever you come on, and then the card ends, and you can run over to T-Mobile Arena. It's a hop, skip, and a jump, Biggie, from what I'm saying.
That's true. There probably will be traffic and whatnot, but I think remember those like the fans that you could. Yeah. So maybe we get one of those fan balloon things that just strap me to it, and we'll just kind of hover to. We need some kind of aerial device, is what I'm saying, to get me to T-Mobile. We'll figure it out. I'll talk to Andreas, and we'll figure something out. We can
get it taken care of. But Biggie, a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much, and can't wait to see you Friday night on SmackDown.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, buddy.